In this lesson, I'd like to show you a couple of examples of how to apply digital signatures to a document. Now, I still have my digital signatures from a previous lesson. If I go to Edit and look at Preferences and I click on Signatures, I can see if I go out to Identities and Trusted Certificates and I click on More, I can see that I have two signatures living out here. One way to apply these signatures would be to come out, click on your Tools menu, and then down here under Forms and Signatures, you might choose Certificates. Now, certificates allows you to digitally sign a document. So I could come out here, click on digitally sign. It's going to tell me how to do this. It wants me to drag a rectangle with my mouse. I'll click OK. I'm going to click and just drag a rectangle like so. And it says, all right, which one of these signatures would you like to use? If you didn't have any signatures created, it would send you to the process in the previous video for creating a digital signature. But we have them all set to go. So I'm just going to come out here, click on Betty Smith. I'll click on Continue. And I see B. Smith's out here already. If I used standard text, I would just get the standard text for Betty Smith that was used back when I created the private key or the digital signature. But I scanned that image of her signature, her actual signature. So I'm going to come out here and just use B. Smith. It's sitting out here, and there's her signature. So I'll go ahead and type in the password to authenticate that I am the person in charge of the signature. It asks me if I want to go ahead and save this thing. I could save it with the same name, but it's kind of nice. I don't have to damage my original. I could just go ahead and type in the word sign, and I'll go ahead and click on save, and it drops in the signature. Now, important to note out here, once you dump a signature on a document, if you were to come back out here and try to edit this document, it would tell you you can't. Once you place a digital signature on a document, it basically locks down the content of the document. But there's certainly not anything from keeping you from coming out here and going back out and picking up, I'll just choose certificates again, and throwing another signature in here. So I'll something a little smaller. I'll drop this out here. This time we'll choose Chris. Click on Continue, and I'm just going to use the standard text for me, and I'll go ahead and type in my password. I'll click on Sign, and I'll just use the same signed name that I had before. I'll click on Save. Replace the old one that has, now we have two signatures instead of one. And you would just go on and on like this. So for people that know how to sign, they know how to use the digital tool up here to sign. You could just go ahead and send this document off. And one by one, as they get the document, they could just go ahead and use the certificates area and sign individually as they go along. A second method you may employ that is a little more dummy-proof is to actually drop form fields for signatures right on your document. And to do this, I would come out to my Tools area, and I would come down here, and instead of certificates, I would choose Prepare Form. And it brings up this little screen, and you want to make sure you click on this guy here for your file that you have open. You don't want to check this document requires signatures, and you want to make sure that form field auto detection is off. If it's on, you can click on Change and uncheck that box, and that will turn it off. But you want to make sure that's off. And I'll go ahead and click on Start, and all it does is it brings up my form creation tools, and one of these right here is the digital signature tool. So I'm going to click on this guy. I'm going to come down and just click and drag a signature box, and you could change the properties of this if you'd like. I'm going to put another one on, so I'll click on this again and just draw another signature box out here, and we're all set to go. I'm going to come out here and just save this with another name, so I'm going to choose File Save As, and I'll just call this same name as before, but this time I'll just put in Signatures, and I'll go ahead and click on Save. And now this document lives out here. And of course, if I wanted to, I could come out here now and I could choose to edit, make some editing changes if I'd like, go back and add another signature if I'd like. But I'm going to go ahead and just close this down now. And I'm going to come out here, look at signatures here. I'm going to go ahead and double click this to open this back up. And when I come out here now and I click on this guy, it's going to ask me for one of my signatures. And I'll go ahead and choose Betty Smith, and I'll click on Continue. I'll make sure I'm using, you could use standard text, but I'm going to use her written signature, and I'll type in Betty Smith's password, and I'll click on Sign, And I'm just going to stomp on the signatures file that I had before. I'll click on Save, overwrite it, I'll say yes. And now I got Betty Smith's signature out here. Now all is well. If I come out here and try to edit this thing though, it's going to tell me you can't edit it because you've dropped a signature out here. But certainly I could go ahead and close this down and send it to somebody else, and if they were to open it up, take a look out here, they would get this little box up here at the top that tells you that this signature is valid. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But here we're ready for the second signature. So I could come out here and click on this guy. I could choose Chris, click on Continue, and instead of B. Smith, which doesn't make sense, I'm just going to use the standard text for Chris, which is just going to be just the written name here in print. I'll come out here and type in the password, and I'll click on Sign. Just stomp on the old file. Don't have to, but I'm just going to do it that way. And now I've got two signatures. If you had three signatures, you just close this file down, now send it on, and the third person could go ahead and sign it. But now if you come out and take a look, absolutely, if you try to edit this thing, you'll see you cannot edit the document. Now one cool thing is you come out here and you click on these things and it tells you the signature is valid. I click on this again, it tells me the signature is valid. If you'd like to get more information about the signatures, you can click on the Signatures panel tool here, which will just open up a new tool over here on the panel on the left, and you can take a little closer look at these signatures. Now of course they're valid because I created them on the same computer that I'm signing them, but if you were to send this document off in the real world to someone, to have someone sign it, or to have someone verify that they're looking at this and to verify that the signatures are accurate, it would say that these signatures cannot be verified as authentic, and that's because that person doesn't have what's called the public key for the signatures. And we'll talk about how to create and use those in the next video.